nights, truths on the run. Buried secrets were the ones who dig them up for fun. Headstones in the graveyard where stories reside. We bring back headlines, no place to hide. Try to cover it, but we'll find the trace. Shadows and whispers, no escape from this place. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no middle line. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. The headline tells a tale of deceit. From the grave to the page, the truth remains. Cold cases, long leads, nothing gets by. We turn the stones, leave no questions why. You can run, but we're hard on the trail. Every secret's revealed, no matter how stale. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no middle high. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. In the dark of the night, we bring it to light. Every crime, every lie, every fight. No stone left unturned, no truth left unsaid. We write the headlines from the graves of the dead. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies. There's no middle high. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. Headstones and headlines, where the stories remain. We dig 'em up, we feel their pain. The truth is out, the case is closed, but our search for justice never slows.
Hey everyone, how are you? Hope you are having a good Saturday. It is rainy and chilly here, although it is above freezing, so that is always a positive because it is melting the snow and not snowing anymore. So thanks everybody again for being here. Petunia, good to see you. Curious, Angie, New York, good to see you. AP, and anyone else who may be in the bushes. This story is one I do have my viewer discretion advised pinned because this story is horrifying, infuriating. And as a New Yorker, I said I stopped at my parents today, and I was talking to them a little bit about this case, and none of us had heard of it until yesterday, because that's when the New York State Attorney General released the body worn camera video. And I said, we should have learned about this a lot sooner, because this happened on December 9th, over 3 weeks ago. And well, about 3 weeks ago. So I do have that warning up, and as we go through, I do have some links pinned in the description of this video, because I will not be going over them. So on the New York State Attorney General's website, which is the link I have in the description, she has each of the officers' body cam footage separate. So if you choose to watch all of them, that is fine. That's your choice. I will say that the only footage I watched was earlier. Chasing had a live, and she was showing some of it, and I couldn't watch because it made me physically ill. So for those of you who may not know what I am talking about, here in upstate New York at Marcy Correctional Facility, which is just north of Utica, kind of northwest-ish, a prisoner, Robert Brooks, was being transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility, which is about 15 minutes away, to Marcy Correctional Facility. Both are medium security facilities. Upon his arrival to Marcy, it can be seen he is not able to walk, which tells me that something happened in transport before he even got to Marcy. And what preceded was a 15-minute, let me make sure I have the time right. Yes, 15-minute beating. And I don't even know if beating is the right word. Some would call it a lynching. There were 13 correctional officers and 1 nurse involved in this attack. A total of 14. Governor Hochul, once she launched an investigation into this death, which all deaths at state institutions are investigated, any officer-related death is investigated. Governor Hochul has ordered that all 14 be fired. One of the officers, resigned the day after Mr. Brooks was pronounced dead, which was December 10th. I just got to say, it doesn't make me wonder. It makes me, this is one that they got caught doing. And, in everything that I've read about this so far, I had done a live, it's been a while, about the Goon Squad in Mississippi, a group of police officers who just wreaked havoc amongst residents, specifically African American or Black people. And in Mississippi, there were 2 Black men who had been staying with a white woman, and I can't remember now what the actual call was, but what ultimately happened was that these 2 Black men were tortured, One of them was shot. Both survived, thank goodness. And their case actually, I believe all of the officers involved have been sentenced for their actions, their participation in this. But this is what it reminds me of. And I did have an article that I was going to talk about today, but I think I'm going to save that for a different time because it's a whole different rabbit hole there with the behaviors of correctional officers. And interestingly enough, one of the officers involved in this case with Mr. Brooks was also a part of a beating in 2022. So clearly, this officer, I don't know what happened to him, but clearly he still had his job. Hey, Team Brit. Oh, just got the notification. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, Pooks. Thanks for being here. Healing Time. So we're going to go through, I just have a bunch of articles, and then I do have 2 news clips. One of them, I believe the one I picked only has still photos from the videos. And we'll also, I'm going to be showing just the statement from the Attorney General. And then I have just a short clip of the Albany County Sheriff reacting to the body footage. Another thing that I found interesting in this is that the correctional officers did not activate their body-worn cameras, which in New York State is a requirement. Whenever you are having interactions with a prisoner, said body cams should be activated. So with these videos that were released, those who had their body cams on standby mode, there is a recording but no audio. And I can only imagine what type of things were being said while this was taking place. Team Brittany, that is so kind of you. Oh my gosh, you didn't have to do that, but that is so appreciated. Thank you so much. So let me go back up. So D. Connor, Tiny Trees, Arame, Petty Woman, Keto Kim, Road Rash, Tonka Girl, Gianna. Oh, I haven't seen Gianna in a while. Firewoman, Pink Poppy, Meg, Willow Johnson, Salty But Sweet, Lenore, and Kenda, Monkey Biz, Callie Dime, Roro, ML Matt. I haven't seen Matt in a while either. And Pamela all received a gifted membership from Team Brit. So if you see Team Brit or if you're here, please say thank you. That was very generous, Team Brittany. I really appreciate that. Hey, Just Irish, how are you? Not okay for NYC. So Team Brittany, I had gotten your email. I don't know if you saw my response, but this wasn't in New York City. This was in Marcy, which is like northwest-ish of Utica. So that's why I'm not sure if you saw that or not. Hey, Darzilla. Yes, I agree. R.I.P. Mr. Brooks. And I feel for his family. He does have a daughter. I don't know. I believe that's his only child. He was arrested in April of 2016 for attempted murder. There was a domestic dispute between himself and his girlfriend, who also is the mom of his daughter. And about a year later, in February 2017, he pled guilty to first-degree assault, in which he was sentenced to 12 years in state prison, 3 years conditional release. supervised release. Sorry, I misspoke. Supervised release. So I'm not exactly sure why he was being transferred from Mohawk Correctional to Marcy Correctional. As I said at the start of the live, they're about 15 minutes apart. And, you know, something happened during that transport because he wasn't able to walk when he got there. And so the officers brought him to the infirmary where this assault took place. Actually, I don't even want to call it an assault. Because it's much more than assault. Like, they murdered this man. They tortured him and then ultimately murdered him because of their actions. It is appalling. Appalling. Oh my gosh, Team Brit, thank you so much again. Oh, and AP, I just saw your comment. I am not sure why they were moving him. I have not been able to determine that yet. So Jen B, Sandy, Squish, love that name, Jeff, and Ringo all were gifted memberships. So thank you so much. Be sure to thank Team Brit if you see her. Okay, so New York, you haven't been able to find that either. Yeah, there's one thing I am going to do, because I'm not going to show the video because, like I said, I was physically ill. I was talking to Pookie last night, and I can't. So I did put the link in the description if any of you would like to watch said body cams, or, you know, a lot of news stations are showing parts of it, which even those is too much to watch. Hey, Out of the Shadows, thanks for being here. Okay. So I do have the court documents that we will go through. So we'll read about it, but we're not going to actually watch what happened. Yeah, AP, there's no words for it. There's absolutely no words, and this should not have happened. And, you know, and then, you know, in some parts you see other officers just standing there watching and like laughing. Like, what is funny about that? And I was able to find all of these officers' names. So thank you to the Times-Union for releasing that information, because a lot of, you know, mainstream media, they're blurring the faces of these correctional officers. Why? Why are you protecting these monsters? They should have their faces plastered all over this country. Because what they did, I mean, it was heinous, cruel. You know, you think about, you know, the court cases that we watch or that I've covered. And, you know, I remember with Wade Wilson, they had said, you know, especially heinous, cruel. That is what this was. This man was handcuffed and unconscious. And just, I don't even know. It's disgusting. So Sinner says, I've always been a proponent of removing officers' ability to mute body cameras. The oath is to defend the laws of our country, not to manipulate the narrative of a scene. My 2 cents. I agree. And I did see, speaking of that, there was one clip that I don't think I have for this live, where they were talking to a former sheriff, I think in Buffalo. So that would be Niagara County. I think it's Niagara County. And I didn't really agree with what he was saying, because it's almost like, you know, he was saying he's appalled, but at the same time, he was trying to somewhat excuse what happened. And I just was like, nope, not listening to you anymore. Aw, thanks, Team Brit. Hey, Gigi, how's it going? So Midnight Angel, Tonka Girl, Boots, Lily, and Jojo. Oh, and Ange. Welcome to the Stoners. Be sure to thank Team Brit if you... Actually, did I miss... Hold on a second. I did. Oh my gosh, Team Brittany. You are so kind. I also missed Darzilla, Julie, Small Wildflowers, Wispy, and Michelle Berry also was gifted a membership. Thank you so much for gifting those memberships. Thanks, Out of the Shadows. Longtime sub, usually catch replays. Well, I appreciate you being here. Team Brittany, that is the question that I think all of us that have seen this want to know. Where did that go? Why did this happen? I mean, if I'm being honest, because these officers, if you want to call them officers, these monsters have some type of complex. I mean, and I want to know, like, do these men have families? Do they have loved ones? Like, where did their compassion go? Like, what if it was their brother or their father or their son or some other friend or family member? It was fucking gross. And I'm sorry, I try not to swear, but this was really fucking gross. Awful. I agree, AP. They all need to be arrested. And I know that Governor Hochul has ordered the firing of all 14, well, 13, because one of them resigned on their own. But I hope that they also have their pension pulled. I hope they have all of their benefits pulled, because they don't deserve it. You want to act like this, not on, taxpayers dying. Although if they go to trial, I'll be more than happy to spend my tax-paying money to see them go to prison. But at this point, they will be terminated. The process is happening. Governor Hochul has spoke with the commissioner to get that process moving. So the AG needs to bring charges. I mean, what else do you need? There's video of what these people were doing. Sorry, it's not alleged. In some news clips that I was watching, they said, the alleged beating. There's no alleged about it. They freaking did it. It's on video. All right. Let's see. Yes, I agree, Senator. Super generous of Team Brittany. She's always been a great supporter of me, and I don't get over to WFLA very much, but when I do, I always see Team Brit there. It's always a good thing. I agree, AP. And I'm not sure if you were here when I had said it, but one of the officers involved in this death was also involved in another incident in 2022. So I know, the Times Union especially, they really dive deep into things, and they will get answers that we need. Spectrum News has actually been doing a fantastic job in getting court documents and things like that. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things coming out that, all of us need to know, because this is happening way more than what we know. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Team Brittany. Is that another 10? Oh my gosh, girlfriend. Okay, so we've got Gigi, Mom of a Gladiator, Bee's Knees, that's cute. Sally Mae, Wani, Mad Chatter, Edona, Texas Girl, Connie, Michelle. All were gifted memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if you see Team Brit, be sure to say thank you. Yeah, and that's one thing, Senator, when I heard that a nurse was involved as well, I was like, obviously it's appalling enough that the officers who are sworn to protect and serve and keep these prisoners safe were involved. But the fact that there was a nurse who was there to help mend or get help for the prisoners who may not be well, like, that is just, they should have their license yanked. They should never be able to practice ever again. Like, no. Thanks, Team Brett. I love you too. You're such a sweetie. Hey, Meg, thanks for bringing this up. I'm sure none of the other channels will cover it. I hope they do. And like I said, I didn't find out about it until yesterday. And this happened on December 9th. So even local news, they mentioned a death, but it wasn't this involved. And until the Attorney General released those videos, I don't think any of us realized how horrific it actually was. And this is where, I kind of have to take a step back too, because whenever you hear, a prisoner death, my first thing is, well, they were probably resisting. They were probably doing something they shouldn't have been doing. And now I have to say to myself, you know what? They probably were doing what they were supposed to be doing, but maybe they looked at the guard wrong, or who knows? I'm sure that, these correctional officers hear a lot of language that isn't appropriate or nice. Doesn't mean you get to kill somebody and beat them while you do it. No. Meg, you're in Oneida County? Okay. Yeah, I hope New Yorkers need to rise up. The whole nation needs to rise up. And I hope that after, seeing these videos, that change comes, because clearly, these correctional officers need more oversight. Healing time, based on the name, I'm going to say male, but I don't know for sure. I didn't see any woman in the videos, but then again, I didn't watch all of it. So I'm not sure. Oh, thank you, AP, male nurse. Oh, wow, New York. Is it Malai? Interesting. I think we're going to find out a lot more about these officers for sure. Oh, really? A lot of people die at Oneida County Jail too? I feel like there's a lot of things we don't know. So I actually went to, when I was at the Attorney General website, which actually let me just share her site quickly. I was looking at her other press conferences, or press releases, I should say. And there was an officer involved death very close to me. And I was like, I never heard about this. And so I read it and I'm like, oh my God, I remember hearing about this kid, but I didn't know what had actually happened. There's a lot more than I think any of us are aware of. I think we know deep down that there's a lot of things going on that we don't hear about, but it just shocked me that there was one so close. Oh, thanks, Team Brett. Oh my gosh, I missed these too. Oh my gosh, Team Brittany, slow your roll, girlfriend. Okay, so we've also got Veruca Salty Salt, which I love. Veruca Salt is one of my favorite groups. Gerda, Rockabit, Kim Holmes, Sandy Gant, Nini Cash, Princess 64, Diane R, Cubby's Gator, and Generally Jenny. Welcome to the Stoners. And thank you so much, Team Britt. Again, if you see Team Brittany, please say thank you. Hey, Bernadette, how are you? Back 30 years ago, I lived way up north and knew a lot of prison guards. I have heard with my own ears certain prison guards brag about assaulting prisoners. Yeah, and why? Like, is it like they think they have some kind of clout because you can beat up somebody? Like, grow up. Grow up. And they need to just get what's coming to them. In my opinion, they need prison justice. You know what? You can dish it out. Well, let's see how well you can take it, big man. Really. Yeah, because they could. Yeah, it's disgusting. Okay, so again, for those of you just coming in, we are discussing Robert Brooks, who was an inmate who was being transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility to Marcy Correctional Facility, both medium security facilities, both out west. So I would say like halfway between Syracuse and Albany, give or take. Just north of Utica area. All right, so this is from News 10, and so the first article that I could find was December 16th. December 16th. So it says, Grease man convicted of 2016 stabbing dies after altercation with staff at Marcy Correctional Facility. Why he was in prison is not relevant to this story. I just want to make that abundantly clear that he was serving his time. He was due to be released soon. He was sentenced in 2017, so he had served 7 of 12 years. So hopefully we find out, more. Oh, good to know, New York. Albany FBI is also involved now. Yes, I did not know that. And Team Britt, thank you again. Harley Ryder, welcome to the Stoners. Please be sure to thank Team Brittany if you see her. So, a Grease man, 43-year-old Robert Brooks, who was serving a 12-year sentence for a 2017 assault, recently died following an altercation involving staff at Marcy Correctional Facility. Brooks was convicted of stabbing a woman, who was a longtime girlfriend, on Woodhill Drive in Greece. The commissioner of the State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, reported that a staff member at the facility near Utica used force against... Now, this is interesting. This is interesting because this is the first story I could find. The commissioner reported that a staff member, meaning one staff member at the facility near Utica used force against Brooks on Monday, December 9th. What a difference from 1 to 14. The names of those involved in the incident have not been released. All staff members connected to the event are currently on administrative leave. Yes. So one of those involved had resigned the day after, and 13 others were placed on, were suspended without pay. However, the governor is now ordering they be fired. An investigation is ongoing, and the official cause of death has not been released. New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision Commissioner Daniel F. Marticello said, as a result of a use of force by staff at Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th, 2024, an incarcerated individual was transported to a local hospital and pronounced deceased on December 10th. Given the circumstances of the incident, I ordered an immediate investigation by the department's Office of Special Investigations, as well as notifying the New York State Police and the New York State Attorney General. As an agency, we take our mandate and obligation to protect our community and all of the individuals in our care extremely seriously. There is no place for, and I will not tolerate, violence in our correctional facilities. In response to this incident, I have placed all staff members involved on administrative leave pending the results of this ongoing investigation. As an agency, We will continue to transparently work with law enforcement and internal stakeholders on this matter. So that was the initial, hey Remy, the initial statement. All right, so now we get to, give me 1 second. I have to keep putting my email in for the Times Union. I may just subscribe because it's not that much money. So this was from December 20th, so just over a week ago. Prison officers identified in deadly beating of inmate will be fired, as they should be. And the reason that I'm really glad I found this, because their names need to be stated, because these pieces of garbage need to be known to the public, because what they did is, I don't even know the word. I don't even know the word. Hey, Zero, how are you? Team Britt, what do you mean NYPD? And there is a photo of Mr. Brooks. I have a different one on my thumbnail just because this one had a little boy in it, so I didn't want to put him on my thumbnail. But that is Mr. Brooks. So an inmate who died a day after he was physically assaulted. I don't even, that word, I mean, they need to say he was murdered or killed. But he was physically assaulted by correction officers at Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th, was handcuffed when he was allegedly held and beaten after attempting to bite one of the officers. Interesting, considering he was unconscious when... Okay, moving on. And again, this is before the videos had been released. So this is probably what the reporters were told. This is probably what was being stated, is that he attempted to bite one of the officers. Okay, so that means he deserves to be beaten and beaten to death? No, it doesn't. Two people with knowledge of the ongoing investigation, but not authorized to comment publicly, said that investigators have described the assault on 43-year-old Robert L. Brooks as extremely disturbing, based on body camera footage that captured at least part of what state officials have described as the, quote, use of force by correction officers. One of those sources said high-ranking state officials are bracing for what they believe could be significant public outcry when videos of the assault are eventually released. Well, brace away, because there needs to be not even just a public outcry, this needs to be a national outcry or even international outcry. The details being circulated among law enforcement agencies include that Brooks was knocked unconscious and then was beaten more after being revived. Jesus Christ. 13 correction officers and a nurse at the medium security prison near Utica were placed on administrative leave or suspended in the wake of the death of Brooks. One of the officers, Anthony Farina, resigned as investigations by multiple law enforcement agencies were unfolding. A source briefed on the matter said Farina was allegedly an aggressor in the assault of Brooks. Some of those facing termination may not have taken part in the assault, but allegedly did not intervene. It is no longer allegedly. They did not intervene. Two of them that I remember seeing were standing by the doorway watching, smiling and laughing. Like it was hilarious. However, at the same time, I can understand if these, this group of correctional officers were like this with prisoners, they could have been like that with other coworkers as well. But I'm sorry, I couldn't stand around and watch someone be beaten to death. Team Brit, thank you again. And we've got Brandy, Cookie, Slammer, Tanro, Willow, and April Wine. Thank you so much, Team Brit. Be sure to thank her if you should be watching this now or on the replay. So on Saturday, a day after the Times-Union exclusively reported details of the incident, Governor Kathy Hochul issued a statement saying she had asked Daniel F. Marticello III, Commissioner of the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, to initiate termination proceedings against the 12 remaining officers and also the nurse. The Corrections Department, in response to a request by the Times-Union, identified the employees implicated in the incident and facing termination as correction officers Matthew Gallagher, Nicholas Anzalone, David Kingsley, Nicholas Kiefer, Robert Kessler, Michael Fisher, Christopher Walrath, Michael Along, Shay Schaff, and David Walters. Kyle Dashnaw, a nurse, and 2 sergeants, Michael Mashaw and Glenn Trombley, are also facing termination. Sources said some of the officers, in addition to Farina, may also submit Sources said some of the officers, in addition to Farina, may also submit retirement requests or choose to resign. So we're going to give them the option to resign or to submit retirement requests. I'm sorry, that is bullshit. I mean, retirement requests, like, no, they shouldn't be able to get anything related to retirement at all. That's a cop-out, and that's not okay. I agree, Bernadette. Their nursing license needs to be revoked immediately, too. This action is in the best interest of the agency and the communities we serve, Marticello said in a statement Saturday. I denounce their actions in the strongest terms. There is no place for brutality in our department, and we will vigorously pursue justice against the individuals who committed this senseless act. These investigations are ongoing, and additional suspensions may be issued. Search warrants were executed at the residences of multiple officers as investigators sought to recover any clothing that may have had droplets of Brooks's blood, according to information shared with the Times-Union. Brooks, a former resident of Monroe County, had been serving a 12-year prison sentence for his 2017 conviction of first-degree assault for stabbing a former girlfriend. He died December 10th at a local hospital. And again, his conviction and his crime have nothing to do with him being beaten to death by these monsters. Elizabeth Major, an attorney for Brooks' family, issued a statement to the Times-Union on Saturday saying they are, quote, incredibly shocked and saddened to learn about Robert's killing, end quote. We are grateful that Governor Hochul is taking swift action to hold officers accountable, but we cannot understand how this could have happened in the first place. No one should have to lose a family member this way. And I completely agree with that. Right, Pookie. Just like the Catholic churches, sweep it under the rug. I agree, Curious. They should be prosecuted just like any one of us would be. Yeah, Grimace Jerry, exactly. If they voluntarily quit or resign, they still receive their pension. And they should not receive a dime from New York State. Hochul issued an updated statement on Saturday noting the vast majority of correction officers do extraordinary work under difficult circumstances, and we are all grateful for their service. But we have no tolerance for individuals who cross the line, break the law, and engage in unnecessary violence or targeted abuse. The incident began after Brooks was being moved from Mohawk Correctional Facility in nearby Rome to Marcy Correctional. He had arrived at the prison with his hands and ankles shackled to restraints around his waist. He was in the infirmary when the incident began after officers from Mohawk had removed their restraints and officers at Marcy handcuffed Brooks. Wait, I need to read that again. Because this was also before the video was released. So it says he had arrived at the prison with his hands and ankles shackled to restraints around his waist. He was in the infirmary when the incident began. That is not true. No. Because he was unconscious. They were carrying him unconscious before he got to the infirmary. So something happened before that. But anyway, so he was in the infirmary when the incident began after officers from Mohawk had removed their restraints and officers at Marcy handcuffed Brooks. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. So are they saying that, I don't know. That's very confusing. At least one supervisor was present when the alleged assault took place. The third person with knowledge of the matter said that after Brooks allegedly tried to bite an officer, that officer struck the handcuffed man in the head. Other officers grabbed Brooks and he was struck several more times, although it's unclear whether more than one officer delivered the blows. So this is the story that they probably told. There's no way that Brooks tried to bite any of them. For those of you who may have seen the video, I am not going to show it here. There may be clips in one of the news articles that I have, or news clips that I have. But if you choose to watch all of the body cam, I have a link in the description of this video that leads you right to the Attorney General's site where all of them can be viewed. This is bonkers, reading this, knowing what I know now. And this is the thing. If these videos didn't exist, we probably would believe what they were saying. Brooks tried to bite somebody. So the officer, he struck them in the head. And then other officers grabbed him. No. Nope. Team Brit. Oops. I don't want to block somebody. Hold on a second. So Sunshine, Bed Medicine, Stay at Home Magician, Trisha Lynn, and yep, we're all gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Team Brit. And if you happen to see Team Brit, please say thank you. Good thinking, New York. They knew why they uploaded it to Venmo and not to their YouTube channel. Investigations of the incident are being conducted by state police, the state attorney general's office, and the Office of Special Investigations within the State Department of Corrections. A section of state executive law that went into effect in April 2021 established the Attorney General's own Office of Special Investigation to probe incidents in which civilians are killed during encounters with police or correction officers. That statute codified and expanded a special unit that had been doing the same work under an executive order that had been issued by former Governor Andrew Cuomo in July 2015. Okay. State Attorney General Letitia James has a standing directive that camera footage from fatal incidents obtained by her office during an Office of Special Investigation case should, quote, be released to the public to increase transparency and strengthen public trust in these matters, end quote. Footage in these cases has routinely been promptly released prior to an investigation being completed. The Attorney General's office issued a statement Saturday saying it will publicly release the video footage of the incident after Brooks's family has had an opportunity to view it. Some of the correction officers involved have refused to answer questions from investigators conducting the internal investigation, a response that led to their being suspended without pay rather than remaining on paid administrative leave. They shouldn't be on paid leave at all. So if they were answering questions, they would be able to be on paid leave. And of course, they're going to refuse to answer questions. But now they're going to, everybody knows the answer to the questions because all of us can see what happened if we so choose. See you, Team Britt. Thanks for being here. Have a good one. Some officers also allegedly lied to police investigators about what took place. You think? A state police official briefed on the matter said that evidence includes footage recovered from body cameras before they were turned on. Some body cameras worn by police will capture video from roughly 30 seconds before they are activated, but the official said there was additional footage of the incident that was able to be recovered from the cameras even though they were turned off. And that's what happened in this case. They had not activated or turned on their cameras as to why there's no audio, but video footage was available. Brooks had apparently been moved to Marcy after he was involved in at least one assault incident at Mohawk Correctional Facility. Okay, so there's, I think AP had asked that question. I can't remember who had asked that question, but according to the Times-Union, and they said apparently, because again, it could be, it could not be the truth. He had apparently been moved to Marcy after he was involved in at least one assault incident at Mohawk Correctional Facility. It's unclear if those incidents involved correction officers, other inmates, or both. Wouldn't that be interesting? James Miller, a spokesman for the New York State Correctional Officers and Police Benevolent Association, which represents correction officers at state prisons, issued a statement after the Times-Union published the story online Friday, saying their union is, quote, still gathering information about the fatal incident. This is a tragedy that we take very seriously and look forward to learning more about the incident as the investigation moves forward. At this time, commenting any further would be pure speculation on our part, and we ask everyone not to rush to any conclusions until all the facts are learned. The union issued a statement late Saturday saying what they viewed on a small portion of video of the incident was incomprehensible. It's a good way to describe it. When this footage is released to the public, it will undoubtedly draw comparisons to other high-profile incidents of violence involving law enforcement. This incident not only endangers our entire membership, but undermines the integrity of our profession. We cannot and will not condone this behavior. And I did see a story that there was a man who called 911 for in distress, something like that. However, the reason he called 911 was that so when police responded, he could kill them in response to what they did to Mr. Brooks. So thankfully, no officers were hurt by this man, but that's really scary when you have people who are so angered from the situation and they may not, be able to appropriately express their emotions. They do things like, call 911 to try and hurt people that weren't involved. Give me 1 second. Oh no, I was on top messages. Dang it. Okay, if I missed anyone's comment, I do apologize. State Senator Julia Salazar, chairwoman of the Chamber's Committee on Crime Victims, Crime and Correction, also issued a statement in response to the Times-Union's reporting, calling the incident a mandate for an honest appraisal of the long-standing and well-documented culture among some state corrections staff members in which violence directed toward people who are incarcerated is tolerated, excused, rationalized, unpunished, and often covered up. I would say more often than not covered up. Oh, great article. Great article. Hey, Marie, how are you? Okay. Let's see. I think we're going to go to... We're going to go to a clip next. Okay. Because that Times Union article was actually very thorough, so I don't think I need to go to the New York Times article that I had because it was very thorough, very thorough. But one thing I do want to mention that the New York Times had said was unless those being accused, actually scratch that, unless those accused of being involved are in the attack are criminally charged, arbitration and union rules could make it difficult to fire them. The union that represents corrections employees said in a statement that it will fulfill its obligation, quote, to represent all of its members, end quote. But it strongly condemned what the 14 are accused of doing. And I did want to... we'll get to that after. There's another report in 2022. There was a report, and it's from, I don't know what it actually stands for, but, the Correctional Association of New York. They had actually gone to Marcy Correctional Facility and were able to interview inmates, look at conditions, things like that. And I will put this actually in chat if anyone's interested. Seems that Marcy Correctional Institution has had issues for quite some time. Oh, Pookie, thank you. I'm so sorry. Evil Queen is who, and I apologize. I was on Top Chat and I just didn't know. So Evil Queen, thank you so much for gifting those 5 memberships. I do appreciate it. So Sunshine, Bad Medicine, Stay at Home Magician, Trisha Lynn, and Yep. Please thank Evil Queen if you should see her. And thank you again so much, Evil Queen. All right, let's get over here.
Once again,
and I do believe there is just parts of the video in this clip. I used this for the short that I had made last night. So there isn't anything extremely graphic because I wouldn't have, although I didn't show any of that in my short anyways, because it was, but viewer discretion advised. It may be difficult. Well, it will be difficult to watch.
Begin tonight with the beating death of an inmate in a New York prison at the hands of multiple state corrections officers.
Yeah, we now have body camera footage showing what happened between 43-year-old Robert Brooks and those officers. This is Governor Kathy Hochul is calling for these state employees to lose their jobs. The encounter happening on December 9th at Marcy Correctional Facility. That's in Oneida County, located about 7 miles outside of Utica. Brooks died at a hospital the day after the assault, according to officials, on the morning of December 10th.
2.5 weeks after his death, the New York Attorney General's office today released body cam footage from multiple officers involved. The footage shows them attacking Brooks in the face, body, and neck while he is handcuffed on a table. A medical examiner labeled as...
And I did just post the link to the Attorney General's website where all of that footage can be seen.
Later described his cause of death as asphyxia due to compression of the neck. A total of 13 corrections officers and a nurse have been implicated in this attack. Tonight, 7 News reporter Michael Schwartz is taking us through the body camera footage and showing us what happened leading up to Brooks' death.
Yeah, and we do want to warn you tonight, the video that you're about to see, it's very graphic and difficult.
Yes. So for those of you who may wish to look away and just listen, please do so. Like I've said, it's difficult to watch.
Difficult to watch.
Disturbing new body camera footage shows the bloody face of 43-year-old Robert Brooks as he is being beaten by correction officers, struck more than a dozen times, all while
And you can see there's people at this door. There were at least 3 at this door just watching, 2 of them laughing and smiling. This a-hole, this bald guy, I don't know who he is, but I personally, I believe that he is probably, if there is a group of correctional officers who go around being menaces to inmates, he's probably the ringleader, just based on what I've seen from him. It's appalling. And I'm embarrassed for their families to even know these people.
handcuffed. It happened the night of December 9th in the infirmary at Marcy Correctional, just outside Utica.
My office investigates every case in which an officer of the law, including a correctional officer, may have caused the death of a civilian.
New York Attorney General Letitia James opened an investigation last week and on Friday released body camera footage from 4 officers' body cameras.
I do not take lightly the release of this video.
That night at 9:21, body camera footage from Sergeant Trombley shows a handcuffed Brooks being escorted outside, his body parallel with the ground.
Okay, so he's being escorted, right? And remember that one article that we had read said that during transfer, although it also said, well, in the infirmary, he tried to bite someone. There's no way that Mr. Brooks tried to do anything.
His body parallel with the ground. A minute later, he's seen being carried by 3 officers in.
I mean, he's not resisting. He's not fighting. At this point in time, I believe that he is probably unconscious for whatever happened before they brought him to the infirmary. Because something happened beforehand, but we don't know what it is.
To the infirmary. He's placed on an exam table. At 9:24, video shows this officer with his body cam off walk into the room and shove a cloth in Brooks's mouth. He punches Brooks in the face once, then hit.
All right. I'm gonna skip over this just because it's bad. But I did add the links. Yeah, and just to kind of go through, like here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people allegedly holding him down. He wasn't fighting. Here, we have people just standing around again watching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people. 6 people here. And this, I believe, was a different body cam based on the angle. And he's here. He's not fighting. He's not doing anything. All right, so we're going to just skip. It's too hard to watch for me. And so here he is. He's not, I mean, if he's conscious, he's not able to fight. I mean, here, to me, he looks unconscious. And notice it's 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. And this attack lasted 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Individuals and correction officers.
What's going to happen here is clear to me. There's going to be an indictment. And this is going to be a homicide case.
The Times-Union reports that court records accuse 5 officers of hitting Brooks. One of them has since resigned. Meantime, Governor Kathy Hochul has called for...
And I bet you the one that resigned, he probably was told you can either answer questions. So maybe the one who resigned answered questions. So they're like, okay, we'll let you resign.
For the firing of all 14 state employees involved. That includes 2 sergeants and 1 nurse. The family of Robert Brooks has released a statement that says, in part, With the Attorney General's release of these videos, members of the public can now view for themselves the horrific and extreme nature of the deadly attack. As viewers can see, Mr. Brooks was fatally, violently beaten by a group of officers whose job was to keep him safe. He deserved to live, and everyone else living in the Marcy Correctional Facility deserves to know they do not have to live in fear of violence at the hands of prison staff. Michael Schwartz, 7 News.
Well,
and I hope that not only do they investigate this incident, but that New York State talks to the other prisoners to find out what else is going on there. Because there's cameras. New York State law says whenever you are interacting with an inmate, the body cam should be activated. Which now I see probably there's a lot of instances where they don't activate them because they know what they're doing is not legal.
The union, or rather the union representing those corrections officers, did release a statement in response to the footage today. And that statement reads in part, "What we witnessed is incomprehensible to say the least, and is certainly not reflective of the great work that the vast majority of our membership conducts every day. This incident not only endangers our entire membership, but undermines the integrity of our profession. We cannot and do not condone this behavior."
Oh, nope. I don't want to start that yet. Okay, so we're going to actually go over to, this is from Spectrum News, and they were able to get the court documents related to Mr. Brooks' death. So it says, court documents reveal details of Marcy inmate's death after, quote, use of force. All right, give me 1 second. My glasses all of a sudden are like, can't see out of them. Blurry. So it says, new court documents provide more details into the death of inmate Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility, who was allegedly killed by multiple correction officers. In the documents, an investigator with the Department of Corrections who viewed the body-worn camera says it shows a number of correction officers physically assaulting Brooks on December 9th, while he was restrained inside a medical examination room at Marcy, an all-male medium security facility in Oneida County. Brooks was ultimately taken to Wynn Hospital in Utica, where he died the following day. The documents say an official cause of death is still being determined, but notes that the medical examiner's preliminary findings show concern of asphyxiation due to neck compressions. The state attorney general's office is expected to release video of the attack by the end of this week. Governor Kathy Hochul previously called for 14 individuals who work at Marcy to be fired for their involvement in Brooks's death. The former resident of Greece was serving a 12-year sentence. Okay, we're not going to get into why he was there. That doesn't matter at this point. So this is the court document. So people of the New York State Police. And this report was done on December 12th, so 3 days after the incident. So it says, I, Ryan Paparella, am employed as an investigator with the Office of Special Investigations with NYS DOCCS. I am at SP Marcy BCI Barracks located at Marcy. I am speaking with investigator Jennifer Greenwood of the New York State Police in regards to an investigation she is conducting. I have been employed as an investigator within the Office of Special Investigations for approximately 3.5 years. I was previously employed as a correction officer at Marcy Correctional Facility for approximately 5 years. I reviewed the Axon video footage from the body-worn camera of Sergeant Glenn Trombley that was obtained as part of Investigator Greenwood's investigation. I recognize the NYS DOCCS employees in the footage as I have worked at Marcy Correctional Facility and am familiar with each individual from work interactions and investigations. Oh, even more investigations, eh? Yeah, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different videos. Let's see. The first one is about 7 minutes. One is 50 seconds. One is 7.5 minutes. One is just over a minute. One is 30 minutes long. That's the sergeant's body cam. And there's 2 that are 30 minutes long. Actually, I lied. There are 3. Holy crap. Okay, so wait a minute. Maybe I didn't say there was. Okay, so there's more than that. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different. And 3 of them are about 30 minutes. One is 26 minutes. And then there's different ones. So there's 8 total body cam videos. Yes. Yeah, I agree, Pookie. Chasing had a good live, but I was just looking at chat and listening. I couldn't watch. It's I don't know. I can't. Let's see. Where is that? I would be really interested to know why he had to change prisons, but both the same security level, what could have been the reason? So that's what they said in that one article. They said allegedly it was because he was involved in an assault incident, but they didn't know if it was between correctional officers, inmates, or both. So I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure that someone is going to, one of, Times Union, I know, does a great job. Spectrum was able to, post the court documents. Somebody's going to find out why. Oh, I agree, Green. That's what I said. They need to serve time. Like, none of this protective. Like, they need to, if they can dish it out, they should be able to take it. So they need to be with, everybody else. I agree, Darzilla. That isn't use of force. It's murder. Absolutely. Yeah. And if somebody can get Chasing's link and post it, I would appreciate that. So hard to watch Chasing. Yeah, and I had seen it last night, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a short, but I made sure not to put any of the video footage in it, because it made me physically. I thought I was gonna physically be ill. I couldn't. All right, let's see. Okay, so we got to that. The body-worn camera footage of Sergeant Glenn Trombley starts out with Sergeant Trombley and Correction Officer Anthony Farina leaving the office and driving a New York State Department of Corrections van to arrive at an outside location where other correction officers are present in the walkway. I observed Sergeant Trombley approach the correction officers near the sally port. What I mean by sally port is the dual fenced-in area at the entryway to the facility. The guards were on the interior side of the fence. I observed Sergeant Trombley and CO Farina walk up to the other guards where I observed a black male his hands in mechanical restraints behind his back as CO Gallagher and CO Mashaw look on. Okay, so it appears that these 2 officers left the office and then they drove a van to arrive at an outside location. I don't understand why they would. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me, but I guess, like, were they the ones transporting him? Like, so they went to Mohawk, picked Mr. Brooks up, and then I don't know. That's hard for me to picture. CO Anzalone and CO Kingsley then forcefully pull Brooks to a seated upright position at the edge of the exam table. Wait, did I miss a page? Like, how is this skipping from... Okay, I didn't skip a page. Where's the in between? Okay, I'll just keep reading. I feel like there's a part missing. Oh, okay. There are a few in the cars. The 30-minute one showed them. Okay. Because I was confused because, you know, what I had first, the one that I had seen was them just carrying him. The first one I saw was them carrying him parallel to the ground along the walkway. So, okay, so it says, they forcefully pull Brooks to a seated upright position at the edge of the exam table. Brooks then can be seen speaking, and CO Anzalone then delivers one closed fist strike to the chest of Brooks. CO Kingsley steadies Brooks as CO Anzalone obtains new gloves. CO Kingsley and CO Anzalone are observed grabbing Brooks by the collar of his shirt and shoulder area, where he is then picked up off his feet and forced to the back right corner of the room. Yes, and I do remember hearing that they had forced him up against the wall for like 3 minutes. Brooks is observed being put up against a window shade, and CO Kessler, CO Shay Schaff, CO Michael Fisher, Sergeant Mashaw, and CO Gallagher look on. Sergeant Trombley then exits the room, and I observed medical staff, Abedin Mamadovic, exit the medical office and enter the hallway. Sergeant Trombley then walked to the main lobby desk of the infirmary, where CO Kiefer, CO Walters, and CO Along are gathered. Sergeant Trombley then walks back toward the exam room, where Abedin is observed to be standing in the middle of the hallway outside of the exam room. As Sergeant Trombley approaches the open door, another medical staff appears to be standing next to Abedin. Sergeant Trombley then re-enters the exam room, where CO Schaff appears to be washing his hands in the sink, and Brooks still remains in the far right corner against the window shade. People are freaking idiots. Oh no, Wani. They don't know what? Allergic reaction is something they don't know what. I'm so sorry. All right. So he's still... All right, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, here. So he remains in the far right corner against the window shade. CO Kingsley, Kessler, and Anzalone appear to be pushing Brooks into the wall. Sergeant Mashaw, CO Farina, CO Fisher, and CO Gallagher are still observed to be looking on inside the room. Sergeant Trombley then exits the room, and CO Walters can be observed standing outside the doorway looking in. Medical staff Abedin and the other male medical staff can be seen standing in the middle of the hallway. However, it is uncertain if they can see inside of the room. So there was more than one. So there was a nurse. So there was other medical staff there as well. Sergeant Trombley then returns to the main lobby desk, where CO Kiefer and Along still remain. Sergeant Trombley then returns to the exam room for another time, and it can be observed that Brooks is on the medical exam table being treated by medical staff, as CO Kingsley, Anzalone, and Kessler are surrounding him. Brooks is observed to be laying on his back on the exam table in his undergarments and shirts. It is uncertain if he is still in any restraints. Sergeant Trombley then returns to the lobby desk. Hey, Be Real, how are you? Another body-worn camera footage was also reviewed. This footage was said to be from CO Michael Along's body-worn camera. I observed Brooks to be carried into the infirmary by CO Kingsley, CO Kessler, and CO Anzalone. CO Kessler is located on the left side of Brooks holding his left wrist as Brooks is handcuffed behind his back. CO Anzalone is located on the right side of Brooks holding his right wrist, and CO Kingsley is holding both of Brooks's feet off the ground. The correction officers can be observed carrying Brooks down the hallway towards the exam room. CO Walters, then Sergeant Trombley, is observed following the 3 correction officers into the infirmary. The aforementioned information was obtained while viewing the body-worn camera footage provided by the New York State Police as received from the New York State DOCCS. This isn't... Okay, so I don't know if this is out of order or what, but now we get... Oh, it is out of order. Page 2 of 3. I just realized the pages, so it went 1, 3, 2. Okay, so this is why I had said it didn't make sense. Okay, so I observed Sergeant Trombley and CO Farina walk up to the other guards where I observed a black male in a green state-issued shirt and green state-issued pants. Okay, so this is where that part is missing because they have the pages out of order. The male was on the ground at that time. I observed correction officers pick up the male off the ground who was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. The hands of the black male were extended directly above his head as his upper torso was parallel with the ground. They continued to walk the male down the sidewalk and toward an open door of the infirmary. Sergeant Trombley and CO Farina approaches the location of the officers outside, and I observed the following correction officers present. So you have Nicholas Kiefer, Michael Mishaw, Robert Kessler, David Kingsley. CO Kiefer is observed shaking his OC spray canister in his right hand as the other correction officers walk the black male away from the area. As the footage continues and Sergeant Trombley appears to enter the facility, I observed him walk down the hallway toward an open door where other individuals are gathered. I observed CO Nicholas Kiefer exit the open door of the exam room. Also present in the hallway around the open door threshold are Gallagher, Mashaw, Walters, Along, and Farina. It appears Sergeant Trombley then enters the examination room of the infirmary, where CO Kingsley, CO Kessler, and CO Anzalone are surrounding the black male identified as incarcerated individual Robert Brooks. He was sitting upright on the edge of the examination table with mechanical restraints applied to his hands in the rear. I then observed CO Christopher Walrath enter the room and Sergeant Mishaw observing in the doorway. CO Nicholas Kiefer then re-enters the room, and CO Gallagher posts up at the door threshold to view the activity within the room. CO Kiefer then exits the room, and CO Walrath follows him out. Farina then enters the room as Kessler exits, and Walters obtains gloves from inside the room. CO Kiefer returns to obtain a body-worn camera off the counter inside of the room near the door threshold. Anzalone removes the shoes of Brooks, who appears to be laying on his back on the exam table. Moments later, Anzalone begins to strike Brooks with his right hand as Sergeant Mishaw and Gallagher look on. CO Michael Fisher and CO Kessler can be seen standing in the threshold looking on. Okay, so these are the two that I'm pretty sure were in the doorway laughing and smiling, this Fisher and Kessler, because they were standing like in the door looking in. Hey, Oki, how are you? CO Kingsley and CO Anzalone can then be seen holding Brooks in an upright sitting position, and Brooks appears to be bleeding from the right side of his face. CO Gallagher then can be observed moving towards Brooks, and CO Farina is observed lifting his left leg that makes contact with Brooks's lower torso that appears to be near the genital area. CO Anzalone then can be seen delivering a right-handed strike to Brooks. CO Walrath then can be seen grabbing what appears to be Brooks's left leg. CO Gallagher then appears to be moving away from the exam table as CO Anzalone and CO Kingsley appear to be using their hands to apply pressure to Brooks's unknown upper body area. CO Kiefer then re-enters the room and is seen standing near the exam table with Sergeant Mashaw. CO Kiefer and CO Kessler then exit the room again. CO Farina and CO Walrath are observed restraining Brooks's legs and feet. CO Farina is then observed striking Brooks with his left fist in the buttocks approximately 3 times. So that Farina guy is the bald guy. So whatever that Farina, his first name, Farina is the bald guy. CO Anzalone can then be seen giving Brooks a sternum rub in the center of his chest. CO Gallagher then enters with leg irons and approaches the exam table, then applies the leg restraints to Brooks's legs. I don't even understand. Like, why would they have to put leg restraints on him? He wasn't moving. CO Kingsley then can be seen with his right hand on the front of Brooks's neck as he is laying on his back on the exam table with leg restraints. Okay, so that's when we get into leg restraints and his hands in restraints. So we read all that. Okay. All right, so this is just another... Oh, this is the same. This looks like the same thing. Yep, they just... Why do they have it here 3 times? Okay, so I guess that's... So he only looked, I guess, at one body cam. Okay. I mean, reading it in words is a little bit different than, what actually happened, but at least it's, it's a little more bearable because it's just words on a page. But even so, like, everything they did was not necessary at all. All right, so I have one last clip, and then we'll do some last thoughts. Over here. So this is just one clip I had seen from the Albany County Sheriff. His name is Craig Apple. I actually very much like Sheriff Apple. I feel like he's genuine. He shows compassion. He just seems like a nice guy. So we're going to take a look at this. I believe that they do have a few clips in this one. So for those of you who want to just listen, this would be the time to, look away. Right, Curious. Right. They took him to the infirmary to beat him to death. Yep. And that's why I say that something happened before he got there, because he clearly could not walk when they were carrying him down the walkway. So something happened before they got there to that point. So, so Grain, they didn't activate their body camera. So, I mean, they possibly knew that it would be recording on standby, but the Attorney General had stated that there was no audio because they did not activate their body cams. So I don't necessarily think they knew. Although maybe the people with the body cams, I don't know. Oh, thank you, Curious. Yeah, I didn't watch that part. So he came out of the van with a bloody face. Makes sense. So that would lead me to believe that these a-holes are the ones who transported Mr. Brooks from Mohawk to Marcy. I know, SG, and I hope that, you know, the Attorney General had said she wanted his family to be able to view the video first before she released it to the public. But I feel like, I don't know, now I feel like I wouldn't want to see it because I just can't stomach it. But then, you know, I don't know if it were to happen, like maybe I would want to know, like I'd want to know what these monsters did. Oh, I agree, SG. It is sadistic. It is. And for all of them to, you know, for some of them just to be looking on and thinking it's, you know, entertainment, freaking gross. Oh no, why isn't this working? Hold on. One moment. Oh, that's why, because I had...
This afternoon, we're getting a reaction for you from the disturbing body camera footage just released to the public earlier.
And so again, you know, if you need to look away, please do so. These images will be distressing to many of us. Pookie, that's a good wondering. Do any of them feel embarrassed now that it's out? I don't think they do. And I think that's, you know, with them digging in their heels and refusing to answer investigators' questions. I mean, it could have been out of fear. You know, like snitches get stitches, end up in ditches. That type of mind frame. But I think they're just indignant and arrogant. And I don't know.
Today, this was released by Attorney General Letitia James. The video capturing brutal moments, beatings inflicted upon a handcuffed inmate. This unfolded at the Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica. The inmate was beaten at the hands of...
And this guy, I'd like to know who this man is over here. Just standing there watching. This man does not have body cam on. It does not look like this man over here. Just watching. And my thing is, anyone who could watch something like this happen on purpose, like something's wrong with you. Something is wrong with you to be able to just stand there and watch someone be attacked in this way.
The several corrections officers earlier this month. He later died. Dan Levy, a reporter, has been gathering reactions to this video today. We do have a warning for you, though. The images that you're about to see here are certainly quite disturbing.
Yeah, not the first time, yeah.
They are images that are difficult to get out of your head.
And so again, just another viewer discretion advised. Please look away if you don't want to watch this. I am actually looking at chat. So, but the audio, you know, like hearing... And it's interesting, you know, and I don't know if Chasing is still here, or I know Curious had mentioned it, but it's interesting that in all of the news clips I've watched, they haven't shown Mr. Brooks being taken out of the van. They've only started it with this part where they're walking him parallel to the ground. Yeah, right? To me, that's interesting that they're not. So why wouldn't they show that? Like, that shows that he was injured before he got to Marcy. And that him trying to bite a correction officer, like that is BS. Maybe he was trying to bite them because they were beating the shit out of him. That's possible. I mean, I can't.
even for those who have spent their entire career in law enforcement.
I'm angered.
Adam
I'm saddened.
Bauer, thank you.
And actually, I'm horrified. I'm horrified that a group of professional correction officers in 2024 could act like that.
Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple says he has had to discipline members of his jail staff in the past, although nothing to the level of what Robert Brooks experienced at Marcy Correctional Facility.
Which is worse in your mind? That several people were involved in the beating, or that several others witnessed it and did nothing?
That is the more sad part. It's very disconcerting that you would have a sergeant. I clearly.
And thank you, New York. That is actually we're going to end with that article. That is the article that I had brought up at the beginning of the live about this larger like goon squad. And he was actually, I didn't realize that was his name, but that's the man who they have a picture of him, his injuries. Interesting.
Saw stripes in there, and I believe I saw a white shirt, which would usually indicate an officer, meaning a lieutenant or above. You know, you're in violation of not only your oath of office, but where is the humanity? I mean, it's unbelievable that could happen with that. It's a gang. It was a gang.
It was.
Our initial reaction from the center was disturbed, and we just find what we saw irreprehensible and unexcusable on the part of the individuals that took part in this unfortunate.
Tayshawn Murdoch is the Director of Operations at Albany's Center for Law and Justice. The unfortunate part of this story, as he sees it, is that what happened to Robert Brooks was not an isolated incident.
I think there's many incidences that we're not hearing about. We know from families who come into our office on a regular basis that they are aware of situations where their loved ones have also been abused and mistreated by corrections officers, only to have a deaf ear turned to them by the Department of Corrections.
Governor Kathy Hochul has called for the termination of 14 state employees, including corrections officers and nurses. In the meantime, Attorney General Letitia James, whose office released the body camera videos today, says her investigators are not finished with this case.
I want to reiterate that we are investigating this case thoroughly and using every tool at our disposal to ensure that there is transparency and accountability for the events that preceded Mr. Brooks's death.
In Albany, Dan Levy, News Channel 13.
All right. Yeah. Good point, Meg. If they're so desensitized and willing to participate, they literally do this all the time. Yeah. And honestly, I'd be surprised if they didn't have criminal records prior to this. I know you have to go through all this, probably, fingerprinting, things like that. But I feel like if you can treat people like this way, being a correctional officer wasn't the first time you did that to somebody. Curious, the medical examiner at this point, the preliminary findings are that he died from asphyxiation. Okay, so we're gonna go to, and I'm gonna skip the picture because the picture is graphic. But this was the article that I had planned on talking about, that I had mentioned, but I wasn't going to talk about. We're going to end with this. So the title of the article is 2 New York prison guards involved in Robert Brooks's death are part of a larger, quote, beat up squad, lawsuit claims. And this was updated yesterday. And I'm going to share it, but I just wanted to skip over the photo because... Are you kidding me? You're not going to let me read this now? Give me 1 second. I'm going to see. Come on. Syracuse.com. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to. All right. I'm going to well, there's another one that has it. So here we go. This is from damn it, Syracuse. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to find a different one because... here we go. New York Times for the win. That is one newspaper that I do pay to subscribe to is the New York Times. Okay, so New York Times. I wanted to use something more local, but... yeah, I feel like it happens everywhere. And it reminds me of the Goon Squad in Mississippi that I had covered, I think it was last year-ish. All right. I know somebody is always selling something. And it's like, I get it. You know, newspapers and print, I mean, you know, they got to make money. But so I figured, you know, the New York Times, they've got my money. So guards in fatal prison assault were accused of beating inmates before. 3 of the 13 guards implicated in the savage beating of Robert Brooks had been accused in lawsuits of earlier attacks in New York prisons. At least 3 of the New York prison guards implicated in the savage beating death of a handcuffed man had been accused of participating in similar attacks on prisoners across the state. So that tells me they probably did this at one facility and then got transferred to another facility as to not bring attention to the previous facility. 2 of the corrections officers and a sergeant accused in the death of Robert Brooks, an inmate at the Marcy Correctional Facility in central New York, were previously named in a federal lawsuit. Were previously named in federal lawsuits filed by prisoners accusing them of brutal attacks that left one man disfigured and another in a wheelchair. A lawyer for one of the injured men drew a line from the earlier accusations of violence to the attack this month. The fact that they failed to rein in these officers that they knew had beaten someone else is a direct contributor to Mr. Brooks's death, said Casey Rosenfeld, the lawyer. She criticized the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision for fighting her client's lawsuit for 4 years. Letitia James, the state attorney general, on Friday released video footage of guards beating Mr. Brooks in a prison infirmary on December 9th. The footage, captured on body cameras worn by 4 of the officers, showed the guards punching, kicking, and choking Mr. Brooks over roughly 20 minutes. Okay, so that was off from the article I read earlier. So about 20 minutes. Fucking disgusting. In a swift and rare rebuke of the guards' actions, Daniel F. Marticello III, the state's corrections commissioner, vowed to address a culture of brutality that has long permeated the state's prison system. I wonder, give me 1 second. I want to see how long this Marticello. When did he get put into office? Okay, so he's only taken office. He assumed oversight on June 2023. So just about a year and a half. He started as a correctional officer in May 1997. And he transitioned from security to administrative services in 2001. All right, so he's been in this position for about a year and a half, but he's been in corrections probably his entire life. So, I mean, he wasn't around for this 2022 incident, but at the same time, you know, hopefully he's going to do something about this one. It is not enough to simply condemn this horrific act and then go back to business, he said in a statement on Friday. Institutional change must follow. They need to clean house. That's what they need to do. But a spokesman for the Corrections Department, when asked about earlier allegations against the officers and why the department had not acted sooner to address them, declined to comment, citing the pending investigations. Governor Kathy Hochul said last weekend that she was moving to fire the 13 guards and a prison nurse who had been implicated in the attack. In the videos released on Friday, Mr. Brooks is seen lying on the ground outside the prison with his hands cuffed behind his back. He appears to have already been beaten. Thank you, New York Times. I said the same thing. The officers pick him up by his cuffed hands and hold his feet. Once inside the infirmary, officers toss him into a gurney and take turns punching him in the head, slamming a shoe against his chest, and kicking him near his genitals. At one point, an officer, with his hand gripped around Mr. Brooks's neck, pulls him up into a seated position and repeatedly lifts him up by his throat. Unfortunately, I did see that part. And it is that man, I mean, all of them need to be charged. But I would say that that man who was doing that is the one who ultimately killed him. They all had a part in it, but that man, whoever that officer was, he is who caused his ultimate death. When he appears unresponsive, an officer gives Mr. Brooks a sternum rub, pressing a knuckled fist on his chest in a painful technique used by emergency service workers to try to revive unresponsive patients. Fucking assholes. The video shows some officers walking in and out of the room, milling about in the hallway, or looking on from the doorway. Some of those assaulting Mr. Brooks pause to change their gloves or wash their hands. This kind of looks like another day in the office, said Jennifer Scaife, the executive director of the Correctional Association of New York, a prison watchdog agency. These kinds of things don't just bubble up out of nowhere. Years earlier, some of the same guards had meted out brutal punishment against prisoners without provocation, according to a series of lawsuits that describe assaults by the corrections staff in glaringly similar detail. Attack in a bathroom. In February 2020, Adam Bauer was a year out from his release date when corrections officers beat him in a bathroom at the Marcy prison and then accused him of attacking them, according to an ongoing lawsuit. Nicholas Anzalone. Oh, look, Mr. Anzalone. One of the officers accused in the assault of Mr. Brooks joined with other officers in the attack on Mr. Bauer, the lawsuit said. On Friday, a man who answered a phone belonging to Mr. Anzalone, a corrections officer who joined the department in 2007, declined to comment. They knew about Nicholas Anzalone for many years and they did nothing, said Ms. Rosenfeld, Mr. Bauer's lawyer. Mr. Bauer said he was exiting a bathroom stall and about to light a cigarette with a battery when a guard stopped him and asked what he was doing. The officer ordered Mr. Bauer to stand against the wall for a frisk. After a few pats, the officer began punching him in the head until he fell to the floor and then kicked him, according to the lawsuit. 2 sergeants and Mr. Anzalone joined in, including one sergeant who slammed a clipboard against Mr. Bauer's head so hard that the metal clasp tore a hole in his scalp. The guards then dragged him out of the prison, put him in a van, and drove him to the infirmary. Once there, he was forced to lie face down on the floor as Mr. Anzalone kicked his feet. Seems what they did to Mr. Brooks. They transported him to the infirmary just to beat him some more. Yeah, 2 sergeants were involved in Mr. Brooks' case. Photos of Mr. Bauer show him dazed, topless, and wearing only red shorts while seated on a gurney in the infirmary. Blood was splattered on the floor and dripped down his face from 2 gashes on his forehead. I am going to skip quick over this picture. Okay. I was scared to death, Mr. Bauer, now 50, said in a phone interview on Friday. I really, truly thought they were going to kill me. To cover up the assault, the lawsuit contends the officers lied. Go figure. They lied. They told a nurse that he had harmed himself. They took him to a nearby hospital and told medical staff there that he had been attacked by another prisoner. One corrections employee told hospital workers that Mr. Bauer's injuries were from a, quote, seatbelt. What? Okay, I saw the picture of his head. There's no way that was caused by a frickin' seatbelt. So not only did they say initially that it was an altercation with another prisoner, now they're telling hospital staff that he did it to himself. He beat himself up and did all of that. Okay. When Mr. Bauer was returned to the prison, he was thrown into solitary confinement on false disciplinary charges for 60 days until a prison official reversed the decision, according to the lawsuit. The Corrections Department's Office of Special Investigations looked into the allegations against the guards, Ms. Rosenfeld said, but ultimately found that the force was, quote, necessary and reasonable, end quote, to get Mr. Bauer to comply. So hitting someone in the head with a clipboard is how you get someone to comply. Makes sense. The officers, she said, were never interviewed by investigators. You're in their world when you get there, Mr. Bauer said on Friday. They do what they want. Permanently disfigured. That same year, in September, 2 other guards now implicated in the beating of Mr. Brooks, Sergeant Glenn Trombley and Officer Anthony Farina, participated in an assault on a prisoner named William Alvarez, according to a lawsuit. Mr. Alvarez was cleaning the bathroom shower area when an officer pepper sprayed him without provocation, according to his lawsuit. Mr. Alvarez ran out into the main dorm area in sight of other prisoners, he said, but the officer ordered him into a vestibule. As he stood with his hands on the wall, Mr. Alvarez said in his lawsuit, the officer slammed his head repeatedly against it and then cuffed him. Mr. Trombley and Mr. Farina arrived, and together the 3 officers kicked him in the head and body before dragging him into a van and taking him to the infirmary. Sounds like this happens a lot. Let's beat everybody up and then bring them to the infirmary and then beat them up some more. The attack continued in the van, the lawsuit said, with Mr. Farina and Mr. Trombley looking on as the other officer punched him over and over again until the van pulled up to the infirmary, and Mr. Trombley said, that's enough. So I guess I didn't really understand how prisons are set up, because I didn't think you'd have to take a van from wherever they're housed to the infirmary. I thought they would just walk there. But I guess if they're severely injured, they can't walk, so you would transport them. But this Mr. Farina is the bald guy in the video with Mr. Brooks. That's Mr. Farina. Mr. Alvarez, who said in the lawsuit that he is now permanently disfigured, required facial surgery. Like Mr. Bauer, Mr. Alvarez was accused of attacking the guards and held in solitary confinement for 60 days. Lawyers for Mr. Alvarez in the lawsuit described the attack on their client as, quote, intentional, sadistic, and malicious, end quote. I would agree with that statement. Mr. Trombley and Mr. Farina did not respond to requests for comment. Before Mr. Trombley was moved to the prison in Marcy, New York, he worked at the Green Haven Correctional Facility in Stormville, New York, where 3 prisoners accused him of beating them. During a frisk in June 2013, Ernest Iverson said Mr. Trombley, who was an officer at the time, whispered, quote, I hear you like to sue people, end quote, before placing him in a headlock. He then lifted Mr. Iverson off the floor, swung him back and forth by his neck, and struck him in his back, according to court testimony. Mr. Iverson said he planted a weapon on him. Mr. Tremblay denied the allegations and said that the only force he used was to place Mr. Iverson in handcuffs. Oh, so did Mr. Iverson swing himself back and forth by his neck? Like, is he some type of sorcerer? He testified that he discovered the weapon on Mr. Iverson during the search. A jury sided with the officers. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. A month later, a similar story emerged from another prisoner. Rendell Robinson accused Mr. Tremblay of forcing him to strip naked during a frisk and said he and another officer took turns punching him in the face, according to a lawsuit. Mr. Robinson had a concussion and a fractured nose. So did Mr. Tremblay say that Mr. Robinson punched himself in the face? I really began to fear for my life at this point because they would not let go of me, Mr. Robinson wrote in his complaint to the court. In 2015, another man, Ecorn White, accused Mr. Tremblay and several other... Seems like Mr. Tremblay is, kind of the lead a-hole in this situation. So in 2015, another man, Ecorn White, accused Mr. Tremblay and several other officers of viciously attacking him in an empty classroom, pulling his legs in opposite directions, stomping on his private parts, and striking the bottom of his feet with a baton. Jesus Christ. In his lawsuit, Mr. White said the officers, immediately after the attack, talked about what to say in department reports. He was placed in solitary confinement, and while there, he said in the lawsuit he began urinating blood and required the use of a wheelchair. Hey, Limey, how are you? I just want to see your comment. Oh my gosh, I missed a lot of comments. I'm so sorry. Oh, thanks, Limey. That's nice. Well, fine, guys. It's the interactions and be kind to others makes this place safe, and good night, all. I've just hit replay, and the thumbs up, of course. Stay out of those chalk lines, people. Thanks, Limey. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I agree. They're a gang. And just like the Goon Squad in Mississippi. Absolutely. It's fucking gross. On Tuesday, before the videos of Mr. Brooks's final moments were released publicly, the state police filed applications seeking so-called red flag orders for Officer Anzalone and two other officers implicated in the fatal attack, Matthew Gallagher and Robert Kessler. Such orders allow law enforcement authorities to remove guns from people believed to be a potential threat to themselves or others. A judge in Oneida County rejected the applications, but ordered the state police to conduct background checks on the officers and scheduled a hearing on the matter for January 7th. And this was back in... Wait, this was written... Oh, so this January 7th. Okay. For some reason, I forgot it was December 28th. So they... I would assume that they took the weapons from Anzalone, Gallagher, and Kessler. Oh, no, they wouldn't. So the judge said no, they can keep their guns, but you can conduct background checks. Do you not have to have a background check to be a correctional officer in New York? So maybe I misspoke earlier. I am going to Google that right now. Yes. To work as a correctional officer in New York State, an applicant must consent to a criminal background check and complete the form TRS 52. Oh, here. That's New York City. Let me look at. Let's look at this. Requirements. Okay, so this says to become a correctional officer in New York State, you must meet the following requirements: be a high school graduate or have a GED, be at least 21, be a U.S. citizen or legal resident, pass a criminal history check. But I would assume that they don't do, well, I mean, I guess if you were arrested while your time there, that would be on file. But I feel like it's these men don't just do this at work. They have to do a physical fitness test. They have training, written exam, and you have to be a resident. It says you must also meet the following additional requirements: become certified as a peace officer within 6 months of appointment. Oh, peace officer. That's quite the title there. Obtain handgun certification within 1 year of appointment. Obtain pepper spray certification within 1 year of appointment. Oh, and this here, it says correction officers, and this is from New York State. Correction officers are responsible for the safety, security, and well-being of incarcerated individuals in state correctional facilities. Well, I guess these a-holes didn't get the memo. They didn't get the memo. So that's interesting. And how many other prisoners, well, I don't like the word prisoners, how many other inmates or those incarcerated persons were attacked by these a-holes? This is like, it gets worse. And I'm going to look to see, shit, I closed that New York Times article by accident. I'm going to look and see if I can't find anything more about those lawsuits, because I assume they would be filed in the New York State court website. So I'm going to definitely look at that. So let me just look at chat, because I'm so sorry. I missed so many messages. I got talking and reading. I don't look at chat very much. Yeah, and be real. No matter what people do, no one deserves to be treated this way. I absolutely agree. You know, you may be and the thing is, like, you may make bad choices and bad decisions, but you're still a human being. Even serial killers. Speaking of serial killers, sorry, I completely had I saw, and I don't remember the state, but 2 serial killers have had their sentences, what's the word? Not communicated. Let me look this up. I just saw this earlier and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Yes, right here. It was in California. Commuted. Sorry, I said commuted. I don't know what I said. Clemency or commuted. Thank you. Yes. So, this was in California. Let me just get rid of this comment quick. Death sentences of 2 ruthless Southern California serial killers commuted. So it says 2 notorious, actually, let me share this so y'all can see what I'm reading. I know it's kind of a tangent, but 2 notorious San Fernando Valley men sentenced to death in federal court in 2007 for kidnappings for ransom scheme in the cold-blooded murder of 5 people have had their sentences commuted to life in prison. So they're still in prison, but like, I'm sorry, they killed 5 people and they kidnapped for ransom. No. Iori Mikkel and Jurgis Katamovas, Soviet immigrants, operated an aquarium store on Ventura Boulevard where they hatched their gruesome plot. The duo targeted the immigrant community, luring victims in with the promise of profitable business deals before ruthlessly beating them, kidnapping them, demanding ransoms from their families, and ultimately killing them. And actually, I do have this on my list of things to talk about. So I'm going to pin that article so I don't forget about it. But are you kidding? So like those people, I mean, they still deserve. So those 2 monsters, they still deserve to be treated humanely, even though, you know, they should go through the same thing that they made their victims go through. But that's not the type of society we are. Oh my gosh, Limey, you're on holiday in Spain? Oh my gosh, so cool. So cool. My sister went to, in high school, she went to, there was an opportunity to like to do the like study abroad. So she went to France and Spain. I chose not to go. I was kind of too nervous to do it, but then in college I went to South Africa. So I guess it worked out. I'm glad I went back and saw that comment. All right. And for those of you, just a side note, for those of you who follow In Their Own Words or iTow, they did drop a new video. So definitely go check that out. Oh, Spitfire Talks? I've never heard of that channel. Wait, hold on a second. I just need to make sure it's not that. Oh, no. Okay, so that's a different channel. I just remembered the actual name. I was going to say, because there is another Spitfire that changed their name. That isn't a friend of mine. All right, let's see. Okay, so I did see those comments. So it looks like I just missed a few of them when I was reading. Officer Longo. All right, I'll write that down. Officer Longo. Oh, you have to pass a mental evaluation as well. That would make sense. I actually took the New York State Trooper exam when I graduated, when I finished grad school. I didn't score high enough. I mean, I passed it, but I don't think like a cop. I don't think like, you know, like I'm like black or white. There's no gray area. Oh boy, Meg, that sounds like small town politics to me. Hey, Cash, did you see you got a membership? Welcome to the Stoners. Oh no, Just Irish, your kitchen flooded today? That's no fun. Oh, Limey's in Madrid. So cool. We when I was in high school, I was in college. My sister was still in high school. We had an exchange student from Spain. She's now a doctor over there. Meg, no, I don't know anyone who got beat up at OCJ. You know, it makes me wonder though, like we don't have a big prison by me, but you know, we do have, you know, like we have medium security. Just makes you wonder like what really goes on there. And I'm gonna see. I have some friends who have family that are correctional officers, and I'm gonna ask them if they've ever worked at Marcy, because now I want to know. What do you know? Well, I mean, he has a point, Just Irish. Many people have been wrongly executed, but it appears that those two people definitely did what they did. Oh yeah, I'm being sarcastic, Steph. It's I don't even want to say the name, but they used to have another name and then they changed their name and there's Spitfire in it. And I was like, how dare they take Pookie's name? Yeah, I was being sarcastic. They're definitely not a friend of mine. Hey, Cash, thanks for coming out of the bushes, the trees. All right, everyone. Well, I am over my 2 hours, but this is a very important story, and I hope that more, you know, bigger creators start talking about this, because the fact that there aren't more talking about this atrocity is beyond me, because this is happening everywhere. And unfortunately, Mr. Brooks lost his life because these officers, you know, have an ego to fill. But if there are any, you know, protests or ways for me to support change, I will definitely be there, because, you know, I'm not a fan of Governor Hochul, but the fact that she ordered the immediate firing of them is not unnoticed. However, the fact they were given the opportunity to resign or retire pisses me off. That pisses me off. They're being given an out, and that's not nope. Not cool. I don't know, Pookie. I don't know why they'd be scared of this story. I mean, it's a human rights issue, you know, a humanity issue. But I guess, you know, a lot of creators, they make more money with drama and talking about stupid stuff. So, oh well, it is what it is. All right, y'all. Well, I don't plan on going live tomorrow, Sunday, right? I'm like, my days are all mixed up. But one thing I want to say, I don't think I'll be live tomorrow. Definitely Monday, but I might be live tomorrow. It all depends on, you know, what I plan on doing and stuff like that. But anyways, exciting news. I'm almost to 5,000 subs. I think I was at 4990 when I woke up this morning. So my goal, I've been telling Sinner, Amax, SoFlo, Pookie, like my goal was 5,000 by New Year's. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I was 10 away. So I have 3 days to get 10, well, I'm going to say 15 more subs, because I want to be a little over 5,000. So I only need like 15 more subs, and we will have a New Year's Eve 5K celebration. Not sure what we're going to do, but I had told Sinner I'm not going live until I get 5K. So the fact that I'm almost there is incredible. And a lot of celebrations, because my channel will also be 2 years old in February. So not bad for 2 years on YouTube. Thanks, Steph. Member for 19 months. Thank you so much. Oh, it says 4.98. Let me go look at my studio. Now I'm like curious. Did someone unsubscribe? How dare they? How dare they? Oh no, 2 people unsubscribed. How rude. How rude. All right, well, I'm at 49.88, so I need 17 more subs. 17 more subs. All right, we'll get there. We'll get there because I'm going to keep pushing shorts out. And the shorts are the way to go. I'm telling you, they get more views, more exposure, and yeah. So anyways, thanks, Sinner. Member for 17 months. Cash. So, yes, and actually make sure you are subbed because I've noticed that I get unsubbed from different channels, and I'm like, I never unsubbed. Why am I unsubbed? So check to make sure because it could be a YouTube thing, but yeah. Going for 5K. So take that, haters. Take that. All right, y'all. Have a great night. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you on the flip side.
Let it take me to that place now. I won't ever let my thoughts get away now. I got better things to do, picking fate now. I just wanna be the best, call me great now. I don't know if I'm okay or insane now. I remember better days on the playground, hoping I can find my way. Even when I'm feeling down, I fight. Even when I don't know what is right, I'ma pick a side and I'ma take pride. I will decide my fate and I will never let them tell me who I am. If you try to shake me, I'll be damned. Planet on the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.